You want to know how to set up a fish tank. Millions of people watched our 5 easy steps guide to get their first aquarium running. That guide gets the water in the tank quickly, but this is the masterclass. You buy the glass, you wash the gravel, you plug in the filter, you add the water. It looks completely fine. Everyone does this. Then, day 30 hits, and everything crashes. Welcome to the delayed failure of the first aquarium. Setting up a tank is not just about plugging in equipment. It is about building a stable ecosystem from the ground up. Here is exactly how to set up a tank that survives past day 30 in 18 critical steps. The pet store trap. Before we even touch a drop of water, we have to talk about the shopping trip. Most beginners walk into a big chain pet store with zero research, expecting the retail employee to build their ecosystem for them. The store is designed to sell you temporary hardware and impulsive, brightly colored fish. If you walk in there without a plan, you will walk out with a neon pink plastic castle, the wrong filter, and fish that will die in a week. Do your research before you ever touch a shopping cart. Location and physics. Now you have the tank. Before a single drop of water goes in, look at your table. Water is very heavy. It weighs about 8.3 pounds per gallon. That means a basic 20-gallon tank weighs close to 200 pounds with gravel and glass. Your cheap particle board desk will bow in the middle. When the desk bows, the glass cracks. Also, look at your windows. Direct sunlight is an open invitation for an algae farm. Keep it away from the window, or you will be scraping green slime off the walls every weekend. Substrate selection. Next, you need a bottom layer. This is where pet stores sell you neon pink or blue painted gravel. It looks fun. It is also a biological dead zone. The paint seals the rock. It gives beneficial bacteria absolutely nowhere to grip. Natural porous gravel or biological sand acts like a massive secondary filter. It houses the bacteria that will eventually keep your fish alive. Skip the neon plastic, get real sand or natural gravel. Worst of all, that synthetic paint eventually cracks under heat and water pressure, quietly leaching heavy metals and chemical toxins directly into your tank. You're not just buying ugly gravel, you're placing a slow-release chemical bomb under your fish's feet. Ditch the toxic paint, stick to natural substrate, and save your ecosystem before it even starts. The washing rule. You have to wash that gravel before it goes in, but there is a strict rule here. Never use soap, not a single drop. People think they need to disinfect new gravel, but aquarium glass and fish gills do not tolerate dish soap. Even a microscopic residue acts like a chemical burn in a closed water system. Rinse it with high-pressure tap water in a bucket until it runs clear. Hardscape and stress. Next comes the decoration, the hardscape. You can buy a plastic castle, but it does nothing for your water chemistry unless leaching microplastics is your goal. Natural driftwood and real rocks actually work for you. Driftwood releases tannins. It slightly softens the water and mimics a natural environment. A stressed fish has a compromised immune system. A calm fish fights off disease. Filter placement. Now we install the hardware. Filter placement is where it quietly turns against you. If you put your filter directly in the middle of a long tank, the edges might not get enough flow. You end up creating dead zones. Dead zones are where fish waste settles, rots, and spikes your ammonia. Place your filter where its output can push water across the longest uninterrupted distance of your tank. You want a circular flow, not a localized whirlpool. The media cartridge lie. While you are holding that filter, look inside it. Most filters come with a replaceable carbon cartridge. The pet store tells you to throw it away and buy a new one every month. This is a brilliant business model and a terrible way to run an aquarium. That cartridge is where your beneficial bacteria lives. When you throw it away, you throw away your tank's entire immune system. Ditch the replaceable carbon. Put a permanent coarse biological sponge in there instead. You will never have to buy another one, and your tank will remain stable. If hacking pet store gear to save money and protect your fish makes sense to you, hit that subscribe button right now. We break down systems here, not just products. Heater distribution. Next is the heater. If you put your heater in a dead zone, half your tank freezes. Your heater has a built-in thermostat. If it sits in stagnant water, it heats the water immediately around it, thinks the whole tank is warm, and shuts off. Meanwhile, the fish on the other side of the glass are shivering. Always place your heater right next to the filter intake or output. Force the warm water to travel. The plate trick. Now, we add the water. If you just dump buckets of water into the tank, you will blast a crater into your perfectly arranged sand. Put a small ceramic plate on top of the sand. Pour the water directly onto the plate. It disperses the impact. The water rises gently, and your hardscape stays exactly where you put it. And make sure that tap water matches your room temperature. Dumping ice-cold water into the glass creates thermal shock and coats your walls in microscopic gas bubbles. Chlorine versus chloramine. Years ago, people said you could just leave tap water in a bucket for 24 hours and the chlorine would evaporate. That advice is dangerously outdated. Today, most cities use chloramine. Chloramine does not evaporate, it stays in the water forever, and it will destroy your bacteria and your fish's gills. You must use a chemical water conditioner. Dose it for the full volume of the tank before the fish ever see it. The clarity illusion. You fill the tank, the filter is running, the water is crystal clear. This is the most dangerous stage. Clear water is not clean water. Clear water is just empty. It has no toxins, but it also has no biology. If your water looks crystal clear on day 2, are you actually looking at a stable system or just a sterile glass box? Also, turn off that tank light. Leaving the light running 12 hours a day on a young empty tank is a direct invitation for an algae explosion. Keep it at 6 hours max on a simple plug-in timer. Nitrogen cycle reality. To turn that sterile box into a living ecosystem, you have to start the nitrogen cycle. You can buy a bottle of beneficial bacteria, but bacteria in a bottle does not mean you can add fish tomorrow. The bacteria needs food to establish itself. Usually that means adding a tiny source of pure ammonia or letting a small amount of fish food decay in the empty tank. You are feeding the ghost filter. Waiting and testing. And now you wait. You do not guess, you test. You are looking for a very specific sequence. Ammonia spikes, then drops. Nitrite spikes, then drops. Nitrates appear. You cannot add a living, breathing animal until ammonia and nitrite test at absolute zero. Patience here prevents a disaster later. First, fish selection. When the tests finally read 0, it is time for fish. The pet store will push neon tetras because they are cheap and bright. Do not do it. Neons are heavily overbred and incredibly fragile. For your first tank, you need something bulletproof. Look at cherry barbs, zebradanios, or a single betta. Start with a species that forgives your beginner mistakes. Acclimation. You bring the fish home in a plastic bag. Floating the bag in the tank only equalizes the temperature. It does nothing for the water chemistry. If your tank has a pH of 7 and the store water is 8, your fish will go into osmotic shock. Float the bag for heat, but slowly add tiny cups of your tank water into their bag over 30 minutes. Let their bodies adjust to your specific water chemistry. The mixing danger. When it is time to move them, use a net. Never, ever pour the pet store water into your tank. That water is a soup of shared diseases, microscopic parasites, and stress hormones from 100 other fish. Net the fish, drop them in gently, and throw the store water down the sink. First, feeding discipline. The fish are in. They look hungry. Do not feed them yet. Let them rest in the dark for 24 hours. When you do feed them, feed half of what you think they need. Fish do not die of starvation in a week. They die of ammonia spikes caused by rotting, uneaten food. Any food that hits the bottom and stays there is a biological bomb waiting to go off. The delayed failure window. This brings us to the final test, the 14-day rule. Your biological foundation is still fragile. During the first 2 weeks, your only job is to watch and do small water changes. Do not scrub the glass, do not rearrange the wood, and whatever you do, do not touch the filter. Every time you clean a new filter, you delay its ability to stabilize. Leave it alone. The final truth. If you made it this far, congratulations. You didn't just build a glass box filled with water, you built a living, self-sustaining ecosystem that is biologically equipped to outlast the 30-day crash. Understanding these 18 steps separates the aquarists who constantly replace dead fish from the ones who actually sit back and enjoy their living room reef. When you respect the biology, nature does the heavy lifting for you. If this kind of science-backed, no-fluff guide saved you from a total tank disaster, hit that subscribe button and join the Fish Tank Mastery family. We don't chase quick fixes or store-bought promises here. We build stable systems that last. Now that your setup is complete, your biggest danger isn't the hardware. It's the habits that quietly ruin your water parameters. Watch our guide on the biggest beginner mistakes right here on the screen to protect your new investment. Until next time, keep your systems balanced, your glass spotless, and your curiosity flowing.